we have more nuclear weapons than anybody. We don't do testing. We've halted it many years ago. But with others doing testing, I think it's appropriate that we do also.
Any details around the testing, sir? Like where, when?
It'll be announced. We have test sites. It'll be announced.
So Donald Trump has announced, and this is a big thing, that for the first time in literally decades, the United States supposedly will begin nuclear testing once again. And importantly, he decided to announce this on Truth Social right before meeting with the leader of China. Cenk, what do you think?
Yeah, so there's one thing we needed was more nukes. And for a guy who promised to be anti-war, I'm really glad he's getting our nukes ready as we have Venezuela surrounded and we've already attacked Iran, and India and Pakistan almost went to nuclear war a little while ago. So I'm glad that war thing is totally done with.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and the best thing about it is that developing and building more nuclear weapons is super cheap too. So that's gonna be awesome. Nobody's gonna make a buttload off of this. In any event, here was the initial announcement on Truth Social. The United States has more capital and nuclear weapons than any other country. This was accomplished including a complete update and renovation of existing weapons during my first term in office. Let's pause for a second. All of that would seem to indicate that we in fact do not need to do more nuclear testing. Evidently, we already have an overwhelming stockpile that has been recently updated. But we're gonna spend a couple $100 billion on it anyway. He says, I had to do it, blah, blah, blah. Russia is second and China is a distant third, but will be even within 5 years. Because of other countries' testing programs, I have instructed the Department of War to start testing our nuclear weapons on an equal basis. That process will begin immediately, except not immediately, someday they will announce it supposedly. And so that was the message. There's a couple of problems with that. First of all, I guess this is a small thing, we don't have the most nukes. Everybody agrees that Russia has the most nukes. We may have more big nukes than Russia, but they're nukes. If they all start going off, we're all gonna have a bad day. We have more than 4,000, they have more than 5,000. It's a lot, but he just feels the need to fit in an extra lie. And so he says that he's ordered the Department of War to conduct the tests, but there's a couple of problems with that. First of all, it doesn't exist, it's the Department of Defense. But more importantly, it's that the Department of Defense doesn't test nuclear weapons, it's the Department of Energy. But why would he have to know any of that? He's giving off Rick Perry vibes, by the way. There's an old reference for you. And so he didn't do the homework, he didn't think about this. And I've quibbled with a couple of small things. There is a bigger problem here, which is that first of all, he says because of other countries' testing, we have to do it on an equal basis. There's no testing going on anywhere, nowhere. And by the way, you might think, well, the world's a big place, maybe people are hiding it. No, you can detect a nuclear test, it's a big boom. You could kind of tell when it goes off. There's been no tests. We haven't done one since 1992. China hasn't done one since 1996. Moscow was 1990. And so the entire reason he's given is a lie. This is not based on other countries testing because other countries are not testing. North Korea hasn't done one even in many years. There's no indication that they're doing it anytime soon. So obviously there's some other reason that he'd be doing this. And of course, he did do it right before meeting with China, so maybe it's just a scare tactic. Or maybe it's a convenient way to funnel tens or hundreds of billions of dollars into the companies that are gonna be producing these nukes.
Of course. So, I bet that they didn't donate a lot to Trump or to Republican and Democratic politicians.
No.
No, those defense contractors, they don't like corruption. No.
Have you seen the most recent renders of the Lockheed Martin ballroom? It's beautiful.
Okay, so guys, number one, I was just coincidentally reading about some of our earliest nuclear tests. And back then they're like, we found an area that was largely unpopulated, except they didn't really double check. So it was a little populated and 13-year-old girls all got cancer and died. So, except one survived. And that happened to a number of people. Now look, I hope we're better than that these days, although, okay. So now Trump used to call nuclear the N-word, the other N-word, you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
He did it recently, actually.
Yeah, and so then why would he be the one, if he thinks it's such a dirty, terrible thing, to be the only country in the world testing nukes now, right? Because he also thinks nuclear means strong. And since he has a very, let's be polite and call it an instinctual brain. Others might call it a lizard brain, but like simple, like nukes, big, strong. We test nukes, we big, strong. Everybody already knows we have the most nukes. Don't worry, we could wipe out everybody. We don't have to show it. Like if you have a big one, you don't have to show it, okay? But if you have a tiny one, then you're like, trust me, I've got a big N-word here, trust me. All right, guy, all right. Okay, so now, you guys probably don't remember this, but if you watch Young Turks long enough, you might, because I was so amazed by it. In his first term, he suggested to his cabinet, and he's like, nukes, we're strong with the nukes. Let's do tenfold of the nukes we have now. And they're like, do you have any idea how expensive they are? Tenfold would literally bankrupt the country. We'd have no money left, right? So that's when Rex Tillerson, his Secretary of State at the time, walked out of the meeting and said, that guy's an effing moron. And then did they actually do what Trump asked? 10 times our nukes. No, they didn't do anything. They just ignored him, and then he forgot. Because that's the kind of strong leader he is.
Exactly. Yeah, wildly expensive, totally unnecessary, and also potentially counterproductive. Well, from the point of view of a rational person, because if we start doing it, so he's saying we have to do it because other countries are doing it, except that other countries aren't doing it. But if we do it, other countries probably will do it. And that's a bad thing, right? Like an arms race, but like, what if he doesn't care? What if a lot of his donors want us to start jacking up our defense spending even more than the $1 trillion or so we spend per year? So we'll end with this. He was asked about whether resuming the testing could escalate tensions, and here's what he had to say.
Do you worry that we're entering a more risky environment when it comes to nuclear issues?
No, I don't think so. I think we have it pretty well locked up. But we have more than anybody. But I see them testing. I say, well, they're going to test, I guess we have to test. I'd like to see a denuclearization because we have so many, and Russia has some. Russia's second and China's third, and China will catch up within 4 or 5 years. I think de-escalation would be, they would call it denuclearization, would be a tremendous thing. And it's something we are actually talking to Russia about that, and China would be added to that if we do something.
So I'd like to de-escalate, but I'm gonna do the exact opposite with no provocation whatsoever. Again, strong leadership there, but he's so confident that they've been testing, and it just makes me remember, do you remember what he said about Portland? About like what he's seeing, are people seeing something other than what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Like, is he just being like totally just led around by his advisors at this point? Did Stephen Miller tell him they're doing nuclear testing, they're laughing at you, they're gonna eclipse us?
John, I thought the same exact thing. He said that one so confidently, I think he really believes that others are doing testing, which led me to believe, somebody lied to him. Or maybe a group of people inside the White House lied to him about how they're doing testing. Because Trump can't help himself. He's just gonna say what's the top of his mind. So if he thought they're not really doing testing, he'd be like, well, they're all doing the testing. I mean, they're not, but they are, right? Like he always accidentally tells you what he's thinking. So the way that he said that, John and I had the same thought independently. Somebody lied to him.
Yeah.
And so then that made me much more worried, because why are they lying to him?
Exactly.
It's easy to get Trump riled up. If you were strong, you'd do this nuke testing. I mean, all the others are doing it. I guess you're being weak, right? But what is their agenda for testing those nukes? Who are they trying to intimidate, scare? Which war are they trying to win without using the nukes, but threatening the nukes? So, and the fact that the president has no earthly idea what's actually happening in the world is also deeply problematic.
Yeah, I hope that in a couple of years, Jake Tapper writes a book about this, gets to the bottom of it.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.